welcome to Dive Bomb F1 Season 5. We're round 7 and 8 this evening as we head to the Imola Grand Prix in Imola. Used to be the San Marino Grand Prix. And there's also other names for it, but I don't want to call it that because it's too long. I tried saying that the other day and it was ridiculous. Then after that, we will be heading to Monaco. You probably recognise his voice, and yes, it's me, Jess. I am back in the commentary box for the rest of the season. I've been away the last few weeks, so I couldn't commentate, but a massive thank you to Lewis for covering me for the last 2 weeks. I absolutely owe him one. Who knows, we may see him back in the commentary box throughout the season, because I have offered him a chance to come and commentate with me when he's free, but he's on holiday right now. So I think he's on holiday, but he's busy anyway, so hope he has a good time. So last week we were at Saudi Arabia and Miami. We had two different winners. Let's have a look at the standings while we're at it. There we go. So we saw Waze take his first win of the season. A very great win from him as well, and some quite close battles. We had Jack Cray taking his second podium of the season. Dan doing quite well as well, and quite close to the finish too. A lot chaotic than we thought it was going to be because there was no safety cars. I'll touch a little bit more about safety cars coming up in a minute. Miami was an interesting race too because we saw a first-time winner too for Tony Parr, and honestly, that was my favourite win of the night because he hasn't won. I haven't commentated on a race with him winning, so it is great to see. Chris Johnson finished second and Bettino finished third. So what does that do with the overall standings, might I add? Well, we've got Waze, because of that, joint lead in the championship with Dan on 94 points. Then we've got Jess in third. She can't make it tonight though. Then we've got Tony in fourth. Then we've got Chris Johnson, Bettino. We've got Deck, Darky, Jack Ray, Jake. And we've got Gio, Matt. And then we've got Bazza, Gamer James, Ryan Berry, and then Sarah, Marco, and K11. So that's your order then for the championship. I will go for the constructors in just a few moments' time. But without further ado, guys, are you ready to get into some action? Because I know I am. A very unique circuit. One of the tracks which was LiDAR scan for this year's game, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So we get to see it here. So without further ado then, let's get... It'll help if I went on board with the driver first. There we go. That would help before I went into the game at play section. And there are, of course, a few people trying to warm their tyres up. So qualifying, of course, different to Dive Bomb F1 this season. Of course, you get points for you in the top 5 for qualifying, and also points for fastest lap. And there are the top 14 that score points, or top 15, I can't remember which, but let's take you on board then with a lap around the Emilia-Romagna circuit. As I try and get my notes on me, that will be good. So first used back in Formula 1, a non-championship race in 1963, but it was used properly back in the 1980. So heading in towards Totes now. You need to aim for a late apex there and a very good exit. We're going to be entering uphill now, and this is a really hard section of the circuit. We're going to reach Imperatella. There's a fast left-hander that drops downhill on exit. We lift off slightly and turn in with confidence. You've got to keep the car balanced and stable through there. We enter one of the most iconic sections of the track, Acqua Minerale, a double right-hander. Precise timing and throttle control through here. Then head towards Variante Alta, high-speed chicane to test out reflexes. You've got to be very careful. A lot easier on this year's game now. And you're now going to be going down the hill in towards Ravaz, which is a double left-hander, taking at medium speed, brake moderately, turn in gently for the first part, then brake harder and turn in sharper for the second part. And now we're going to enter the start with a straight, past the pit straight, up to the line he goes on mediums and the 120.6, which is not too shabby, but we can see quick lap times, just for what we saw with Chris Johnson. So Chris Johnson slots himself in at 2 P1 with the fastest lap time. We've got more drivers on laps then. I think it's Dan that might be next. Yes, it is. Our joint championship leader, along with Waze. Very consistent start to the season, and sometimes you would like a consistent start to the season. if you want to keep this up. So we've got James with 117.1, Dan with a 117.2. We've got Dan's teammate who's gone into the pit, so he must have been validated, Jake has. Dex just come across the line with a 116.9. Now, the last few races, he's been very unlucky with disconnections. He said that he sorted it out, so hopefully he will be able to race. He's hardly had any problems with non-crossplay, but it might have been an issue with like network settings and all that stuff. So, but it should be good as Darky goes up to the line with a 114.6. Now that is a fast time. Now I can't even do that on around Imola. So Darky is shown to be a very quick guy around the Emilia-Romagna circuit. Still got more drivers to set a lap time. Still a few people setting unrepresentative lap times, including last week's race winner, Tony Parr, around Miami. Of course, the Haas not doing very well in the real life Grand Prix, but they want to do well here. At Monaco they go. Third gear. I think the majority of the lap you can be taken in third. I think you should try and potentially avoid second throughout this section. And there's people that are probably very lucky to live around here, but here he goes. Tony Parr up to the line, pass with that in towards the final corner. And is it going to be a time that will challenge the top guys? The answer is no, but he slots himself into P3. So we've got our times so far. Another race winner from last week, Wade, is on his outlap at the moment. Where is he? Trying to get used to control again. This is the first time I've been on the gaming weeks. So, honestly, it is quite... I am very excited to see what goes on there. And we'll see if we can win again. Of course, consistency will award you championships that I found out last season in the league. I think quite a few people are in the pits now. I think most people will try and do lap times on the soft compounder tyres now. A few people just want to go to the mediums to get an eye in for a little bit, because unlike the last few seasons of TGP and DBF F1, it is going to be starting with a 35% race, not a 25% race. So for some people, they can't afford the softer option. They have to go for the balanced option. So that's why some people wanted to get mediums to make sure they get softs to the end. Personally, if I was to pick a strategy around here, I wouldn't have gone for... I would try and avoid the softs at all costs, like we saw last season. But we know last season in TGP, the heavens opened. It was one of my worst races of the season. But that was because I got contact in turn 1, which wasn't ideal there. Oh, Wade has had a bit of a slide going through at Carinarale. That's why we saw Nicholas Latifi and a certain driver that should be getting my words out. Should be named nameless. It's a bit of a tongue twister, I know, but there we go. So I think most people will be doing probably a medium to hard strategy, but we will see people try and be brave on the softs. Waze goes up to the line, not quite enough to beat Darky, but he slots himself into P2. Now, my money's on Darky to win this championship. I know he's a little bit further behind at the moment, but he has missed one race this season. So, Darky, I think he is... If he's not the favourite, then I'll be very shocked. Jake then is on a lap. He's purple sector 2, and knowing the game, it is a bit of a liar sometimes when it tells you if you're purple sector 1 or 2 or not. Of course, it's the Tifosi home track. So the Ferrari camp, they're going to hope their drivers do good, because if they don't, they're going to come home crying and disappointed. And he slots himself into P5, which is really respectable time from him. You've got Kai up next. I think that's his name. He goes towards the final section as well. He's starting to improve every race. He always feels lack of confidence, and he thinks, oh, I'm not going to get any points. And he was quite surprised one week where he actually got points. But if you do finish with less attendees, then you're more than likely going to be doing well. A 119.7, so he's got a lot of time to find currently. at the moment. We have got 8 minutes and 25 seconds still to go. And is it me or is like the spectator? The F125 logo moved. Now that means in my other league, I'm going to have to change the logos a little bit. And I'm not going to like that. Not going to like that. So at least I'm doing a bit of test before that league. Really do. So who's on lap now? It's hard to tell because it's not updating. Because it says people on laps, but they're not. Dan, I believe, was just on a lap, so we'll see what he could do. Okay, Dan goes into the pit. Yeah, it's not updating with the tyres, so... and Darky has invalidated his lap time, so unfortunately he won't be able to get a lap time on the board. Now, let's know your predictions, everyone, on who you think is going to be pole position this evening. It's good to see around 5 of you in the chat, one of you including me, so technically 4 of you. So get your predictions in, don't be shy. I would like to react to the people in the chat as much as possible today, so please get involved. What do you like about this track? Where are you watching from? It will be amazing to hear your thoughts about this. Mick is the only one yet to set a lap time on the board, so I think he may just wait a little bit, or maybe he's a bit too confident. I know Tony was just lacking a bit of confidence there, so I think it's going to take a while for quite a few people to settle in. I do have also the constructor standings. I would go through an image, but I forgot to save an image because I am an idiot. And me, Jess, likes to be called an idiot a long time. So Williams are leading on 162 points. But we don't have both drivers today. We just have Wade, but we know Wade is a good point scorer. Ferrari could use the chance to capitalise in second at their home track on 129 points. So if Ferraris both score well, which they have been doing the last few races, they can close up the gap to Williams. McLaren in third on 127. Sauber in fourth on 111. We got Haas in fifth on 86. We got Aston Martin on 79. Seventh is Red Bull on 60. Eighth is Alpine on 32, joint with Mercedes and Racing Bulls, which is VCarb yet to score. But of course, we have no one from Racing Bulls here, so they are not going to, unfortunately, score tonight. We do have yellow flags, but there are just, of course, people moving out the way. So they'll be warming their tyres, getting ready for the last laps of the day. And I'm a bit surprised to see the massive gap between first and second. So if you look closely, let me just see. So the gap is about 1.5 seconds, which is probably like not the closest qualifying between pole and second that I've ever seen. So this is interesting. Dex still remains in third, but he does improve on his lap time. So he'll probably take that. But we know with Darky, he has a tendency, he's getting better in the last few races, I've got to admit. But he has a tendency last season in TGP just to not finish races. And he can't afford to do that. He can't afford to make any mistakes. And I don't know why it's been put in Deck and the Mercedes, but there we go. I think that's because he joined late, so that's probably why. As Waze has retired from the session. Now, let's go on board with one of the McLarens. He's in the pits. Nope. That, Lewis Craig. Oh, it's raining. Oh. Wow. So, that's probably why then. So, he binned it with the slipping conditions. The heavens have opened. And that was something I wasn't expecting. I like it for the weather to be surprised. I'm sure the drivers were aware of it, but I certainly wasn't. So, qualifying could be at an end here. Because I think it's going to be too slippy. That's why I was seeing a lot more people retire. So, as it stands, Darky's going to be on pole position. Now, massive shout out to Lewis Craig. He just put something in the chat with his predictions for pole. He thinks Darky pole, Ways win. That is a possibility. That is a realistic possibility. So if any of them bottle it, then they're probably going to blame you, Lewis, right? Now, it's getting... We're seeing how Totes is becoming a bit more difficult. It's impossible to see on this game. I'm surprised, of course, we haven't seen much rainbows. That'll be quite funny. So, yeah, we are seeing some retirements now. So, including our pole sitter. Some people would want to have a go. If there's some people that carry on, maybe is there a possibility that there could be rain in the race? You never know. I doubt it because due to the fact that there's a lot of people retiring from the race. Not the race, qualifying. So you can see the rats is getting quite tricky for Ryan Berry. Let me go off board, actually. I always tell people to only go off on board for a short period of time. And I don't do that myself, and it will make myself a little bit of a hypocrite. So, will we see some people just go on inters just to get a feel for it? Because you never know what the weather could be. It can surprise you when you least expect it. The weather is set to approximate in this league, so it just could change like that. So I wonder if Badder's just getting used to the conditions, seeing what it is. So if it ever rains here, then he's prepared. But he's not going to have enough inters for the wet period if it is rain. So he's playing a risk, but he is going to be having an advantage because he can get a feel for what the conditions is. As variant outer is quite bad, no matter what tyre you're on. So, should be interesting for everybody. And to be fair, I think we will see some people still in the pit. I have to say, a good lap time from Gamer James, who's improved a lot on this game. Only about a 10th off Jake. So that, honestly, I think he only picked up the F1 games this year, and he's improved so much. So great on him for him to be himself in P6. So we're starting to see progression from quite a lot of drivers as they get used to the F1 25 game. They're playing the F1 25 game more than me, so a lot of them will be probably a lot quicker than me. But there we go. So, I think Mick is going to be brave enough to go on to soft tyres, and he's invalidated his outlap. We'll see. It's still okay, but he has to brake a bit early to head into the Variante Alta there. And it's not going to be that long until people finish their runs anyway, because the clock is coming down to 0. So we were about to head to the race. So Darky, Waze, Acorn, Tony and Jake will get points for qualifying. So that would help them quite a bit in the championship. And for some people that didn't get a good lap in early on, that's probably compromised them because they're starting towards the back of the grid. So there we go. And for some people, they just want to take it easy. So we'll go for your running order then, because we will be going straight to the race very soon. So, it is Darky on pole, followed by Waze, then Acorn, then Tony, then Jake, then Gamer James, then Dan Wilnut, then Chris Johnson, then Bazzer, then Scottish Goat, then Jack Craig, Ryan Berry, Mick, and then Kai. So, those 14, that's your order for the race. Reminder, it is a 35% race, and a new rule that's been brought in, as voted for by the drivers. Safety cars will be set to increase now, mainly because people thought that the safety car on standard doesn't come out that often. We do know, though, safety cars in Imola is quite common anyway, so I think we will see a lot of safety cars regardless. So that's your order then. impressive that obviously Baz's and Jack's time were on medium compounded tyres. So they may not have, like, or if they've gone for balance, it will help them a bit more because they'll probably still have mediums anyway. But will we see someone like compromise for a 2-stop? We'll have to wait and see. So that's your qualifying order then. How will the weather fare in the race? Now that is going to be interesting. With Baz the only one practicing on inters, I'm not going to give you any hints. Well, I am. There is a bit of a dark cloud forming. Does that mean that there's rain? I don't know. The starting tyres will probably give us a true indication on what the weather is going to be, what the weather is going to entail for all the drivers. Because if people start on softs, then it strongly suggests that the rain is going to come down early. So, if I could just get... Hold on, there we go. We'll get a reminder of your standings then, of how close the championship is from quite a lot of drivers. Our current pole sitter, by the way... Our current pole sitter is only sitting in P8 in the standings. Of course, he missed a few races. There's some races where he felt like he could have done better. So this is really his chance to take advantage of him getting pole position. He cannot afford to bottle it. Turn 1 and 2 is the most trickiest on the F1 calendar to get right. You do not want to be in the middle. You do not want to be P1 or P2. You want to be third, ideally, because you can get a massive tow, but you do not want to be swamped by everybody else. It is as simple as that. And the thing about Imola is we can't see what everyone's tyres is now, which is absolutely... Sorry about the on. But anyway, we're about to get underway with 5 red lights. Action here in Dive Bomb F1. Wade gets a much better start than Darky. Darky was caught off guard there. We got one of the hatties of Tony trying to go move up the inside of Deck. Deck's gained a position on him as well. So quite a few people lost position on that start. But it is Wade that took advantage over everybody else. Darky in second, Deck third, Tony fourth, Gamer James fifth, Jake in sixth, Chris Johnson in seventh. And so far, everyone's got through A-OK, as Mick has got past Kai again, because Kai did get past him eventually. No major dramas at the start of the race so far, which is very, very impressive. But you never know, I could be jinxed here, so anything can happen here. So we'll see the starting tyres for all our drivers. We've got everyone pretty much almost half the field on hards, except Wade's on mediums. That's probably why he got the getaway, because with no formation it takes a while for the hards to warm up. Dan's on the mediums, as well as Jake and Gamer James. Interestingly enough, both Ferraris have gone for exactly the same strategy here today. So will that compromise them if they're near each other in terms of pace? But DRS will be activated very, very soon around this circuit, so we are going to pay close attention, especially to this section of the track. Red Bull, of course, was very, very successful around Imola, and especially Max Verstappen has won the most here. They secured their first ever 1-2 finish in 2022, and that was their first 1-2 finish in 2016. So that was Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. We've got quite a lot of moves happening. I think Dan is going to try and go for the move there, which he doesn't. Kai has gone for the move on Mick, so Mick is down into P14. So pretty much the top two are running away with this now, so they just got to try and work together here. And with Darky having some really just decent pace on those hard tyres, then he is going to give Wade a little bit of a run for his money, but he's going to hope that there is no safety car to ruin things for him. So heading towards where we're at now, up through the gears, third gear, then go to fourth gear as you enter the next turn, and you can see Darky has got brilliant straight line speed. He's going to get the DRS open Darky sets the fastest lap of the race. Of course, he's the fastest man out there on track, so you would expect him to be like this. As Darky, through he goes, up into the lead of this race. We've got the two Ferraris going side by side here in towards T2. Let's hope all the Ferraris making a little bit of contact there as Dan has had a bit of a spin in towards turn 3. Tamburillo could catch quite a lot of people out, and unfortunately it's paid the price for the two Ferraris, and the Tifosi are not going to like that one bit. The question is, with safety cars on increase, what would this do to fuel? Will people gamble with low fuel, or will it come back to bite them like we saw with a few teams in Australia? We'll have to find out. Meanwhile, Chris Johnson's doing quite well, chasing down on Tony. He's also got James for company. Gamer James is doing quite well to try and defend that, but he's out of DRS range to deck. So James has got to get a move on here. So his medium tyres maybe not be the best option for him as Mick and Kai swap places once again. Chris Johnson looking the closest out of everybody, but with DRS being so powerful, it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see Waze potentially take the lead here. Nope, he is not going to take the lead here. So let's watch back on Chris Johnson and Tony. Tony up the inside of Gamer James, and we've had a spinner. That is Scottish Goat that's had a mare. Oh, let me go on board with him. There we go. The Scottish Goat was a bit tail happy, and he's dropped down into 14th place. Things could have got a lot worse. And no, we've had a spin from Tony. We've had a spin from Tony. I wonder if there was a bit of contact being made from some drivers there. Bit unfortunate. A lot of work to do for a lot of these drivers. I think Jake was the one who lost out as well. So those two drivers got a lot of work to do here. And that's, I think, to be fair, this strongly suggests that the mediums overheat quite a bit around the Emilia Romagna circuit. So I think a lot of these people that are on the hards right now are going to really stretch those hards for as long as they can. So let's see what Chris Johnson can do in P5. Meanwhile, Wade and Darky stay where they are. Chris Johnson in the McLaren, of course, Constructors Champions from last year in real life, looking to be Constructors this year. A bit of a love tap, but no harm done for the McLaren as Chris Johnson up into 4th. He's almost on the podium spot, so that is impressive. Scottish Goat past Kai. The bottom half are not doing a great job here, but it doesn't look like they have got damage, so I think they're going to have to carry on here. Bazza's looking quite good on the back of Ryan Berry. I am honestly very impressed with Bazza's pace right now, as there was a bit of a love tap there as Jake gets through up the inside of Bazza up into 8th place. Now we know that these three get on well together, so they're going to be annoyed, but having a lot of banter if they make contact with each other. Oh, front wing from one of the Ferraris. Oh, Jack Craig's had enough. Jack Craig's had enough. So quite a few cars are coming to blows, and that's allowed Mick to be in P11 now. But Jack Craig, after a very great race around Imola, not Imola, what you on about? Miami last week, Jack Craig's down into 12th place. And you can see the sun is blinding quite a bit, which is going to make things very tricky for the drivers. Dan and Bazza. Dan's past Bazza up to 7th, so the other Ferrari now passed. Tony has passed Jake, so I wonder if Jake has got damage or if he's really struggling on those medium tyres. We will find out a little bit later on in the race. Reminder that it is a 35% race. If you are enjoying the action, don't forget, make sure you do leave us a like and hit the subscribe button and hit that bell if you are new. We are on the up in terms of subscribers, so please do subscribe, and also make sure you follow us on Twitter. Now, I mean, we have changed Twitters because a certain person doesn't like us, but I'm not going to say much because otherwise it could affect me in a negative way. But we have a new Twitter at SportsDBTV, so make sure that you do follow us. Now, Darky has increased the gap now to 2.6 seconds, so yeah, the hards are really coming into full force here. Chris Johnson and Gamer James, they're just running on their own. As Jake comes into the pit, he's going to try and get the cheeky undercut because he knows that those mediums are not good. So he's going to get those hards to the end of the race. And I thought so. I had a feeling this was the case. Jake, unfortunately, has front wing damage. So he's got a lot of work to do here. And it's not good for Ferrari. They want to capitalise on one of the Williams drivers. Not here tonight. As, what's happened to Gamer James there? Gamer James has lost a bit of ground, but Ryan Berry is past him now. And we got Bazza right in the fray and Dan. And we know Dan is managing those not those hard tyres, those medium tyres in a decent window. You can see as they start to have a bit more wear, it gets difficult. And I've noticed on this game that you've got to be more smoother on the steering application compared to the previous game. If you're not, it's known as flicking, and you're going to lose so much more tyre wear. Well, you're going to gain so much more tyre wear, which means you would probably have to pit before quite a lot of people. So very smooth when you're driving, and you could be rewarded, and you're able to stretch those tyres for a little bit longer than expected. Dan comes in to the pit as well. So we've got two drivers in at the pit lane. I wonder if the other Ferrari has got damage as well. Gamer James has safely breezed past Ryan, and I think it's going to be an interesting battle between the two of them, in as well as Tony and Bazza. They fight in many other leagues, including VSL, and both of them are always very respectful. So, as both of them had a little bit of a slide there, Tony making a brilliant movement towards Totsu, and with Bazza not making the move stick there. So, Tony, brilliant job there, is looking to climb as more positions as he can. Scottish Goat is past Bazza as well, so I wonder if Bazza is pushing a little bit more than his tyres than he should be. Or he is going to be very brave to go around the outside into Minerale. Surely not. Even though he's had a bit of a slide, he's got the job done. So Barry Baldwin has got the move that you weren't expect to do. And you can tell that Bazza is the brave man tonight, I have to say. Some really great moves. As Scottish Ghost has got past him again, they're going to switch positions like no tomorrow here, which is great to see. I thought they weren't going to go for it properly, because Dirty Air plays more of a factor on this game than the last game. So I think if I was Bazza, I would just give it a few more attempts potentially, but he's going to try and go for here anyway. In towards turn 2, you're going to lose quite a bit of downforce when you try and go for the move here. And he's caught a bit of a slide there, which has allowed Jack Craig to close in. Jack Craig's got penalties. Now, if we do get a safety car, the penalties can come back to bite them. And we don't know how much warnings people are on at the moment. Jack Craig could try and go around the outside here into Tosa, but he's going to wait for a little bit as well. Ryan Berry is looking at quite a good pace in the Aston Martin. And as people's tyres to struggle a little bit, if those hards are struggling now, how are they going to manage on those mediums later on? We're going to have to wait and see. And don't forget, of course, we've got Monaco later on as well. That's going to be fun. If there's chaos, I'm going to probably talk about random things, and you're probably going to have to deal with it. So, I've come prepared with Monaco facts later on in this race. We've still got this race still to go. We're on lap 10 now of 22. Yellow flag. And that was Gamer James going very slow in the pits. But, oh, no, it was Mick. It was Mick that had an off. So it wasn't Gamer James. It was Mick that had a bit off in the final corner. But I think he's got going because he does not have any damage. So James going on to a set of the hard tyres. I don't know where that will end him. And watch the two Ferraris make their way through. I'm almost certain Dan got damage as well because he, I think, lost the same amount of time as Jake earlier on. So here goes Gamer James just ahead of Jake. So he's pretty much gained one position after doing all that. So it's not going to be that long before our race leaders potentially do their first stops. But of course, Darky, he's going to wait a little bit longer potentially for a safety car. Quite a lot of our hard runners will do that. Wade, I would expect to go in soon. But believe it or not, he's going to come into the pit right now. So here he comes then. Hard tyres until the end of the race. And we know it could get there. But it will be very hard towards the end. So Waze up, and there he goes, out of the pit lane. And of course the game doesn't penalise you if you speed on the pit lane exit. Scottish Goat, by the way, gets past Ryan Berry, so Scottish Goat really improving on his pace and again not giving up. As Bazza gets past Wade in the pit lane, but it's not going to be that long before Wade passes him because he's on 10-lap pressure tyres. Now, Jack Craig, I'm very shocked about what Jack Craig has done. Of course, he had no other choice, but he's gone on to the medium compounded tyres. I doubt that will get to the end of this Grand Prix. So I think he would expect, as I take a sip of my drink, sorry. I think he would expect to be a safety car and then he could potentially go on softs until the end. Scottish Goat, 3-second time penalty. Here comes Waze. Past Ackerman and Raleigh. Easy does it. Take a candy from a baby. And trying to hold on to that net race lead. So your top 6 have not pitted. That is Darky, Deck, Chris Johnson, Scottish Goat, Ryan Berry and Tony. So your top 6, what will they think about doing? Answer on the postcard. And if you were to race around Imola, what would you do? What would you choose to do? Meanwhile, Dan and Kai having a ding-dong battle. Of course, Dan with the fresher tyres saying thank you very much. Dan is now up into 10th position. So Dan's undercut has worked, so he might have not got damage after all, which I think he'll take that. He would really take that. Ryan Berry then, he's got to get a move on if he doesn't want to lose that much of a deficit when he comes into the pit lane. He's right in a sandwich, which is not ideal. Darky comes in, that's early, but he decides to come in anyway. So Darky comes in onto mediums. Now, I'm a bit shocked about that he's not come in about a lap or two later, but he thinks he can get to the end from here, which it could be possible. So, Darky comes out. Where is Waze? So, Waze coming out past Rats and out past in towards Variante Bassa. And Wade has set the fastest lap. Darky still leads. So Darky was able to keep that hard pace for a long time. Whereas Wade was struggling towards the end of his medium stint. And of course, as I was saying earlier, consistency rewards you. As Darky is trying to do his best to overtake Ryan Berry. I do apologise for the yawning. My first day back at work after a week of leave was yesterday. And it's come as a bit of a shock. But I'm here. And of course I could not let you down as I am back for the rest of the season. Gamer James getting past Kai there. Now, we know at least with Dak and Chris, they usually like to hold it in for safety cars anyway. And if we don't, honestly, pretty much majority of drivers are keeping it clean anyway, so I doubt we will get safety cars. More drivers are in the pit lane now, so that's Scottish Goat, that's Chris Johnson and Tony. So that just leaves then, oh, Wade's getting a 3-second time penalty. This could come back to bite them. I am not going to mention the penalties that people have got. You just gotta have to guess for yourself. And Kaya's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that is going to be added to the end of this race. So when he crosses the line at 10 seconds will be added on. And Waze does get past Ryan Berry up into third. Jake's got a penalty now. I'm interested why Wade is not able to close up. Maybe because Darky has just got such unreal pace around Imola in general. Honestly, I'm interested to know his TT time. I'm interested to know his TT time, which will be absolutely insane. So Deck comes in, last of our leaders. So medium time as he goes, that will safely get till the end of this race. Ryan Berry is in. Will Bazza come in? Or he is slowing down a bit? No, he's staying out. Which, honestly, I don't blame him. So he's going to hope for a safety car. He's got, well, technically it's teammate, but it's not his teammate. But to be fair, though, Deck couldn't join Aston Martin because he joined the lobby late. But weird, very weird. So Bazza's the only one who hasn't pitted. Neither has Mick. Everyone else has pitted at least once. Jake, of course, pitted early. So did Dan. So the hards until the end of the race could be quite a bit of a challenge. As Scottish Goat gets past Jake and Mick. And Mick and Jake switch positions. Mick's doing very well, holding his own on older tyres. Round the outside, there we go. Jake eventually gets the move down. I thought I saw a spot of rain then. But luckily, for the drivers at least, I was imagining things. So don't panic, drivers. Don't panic, drivers. There's no rain yet. Meanwhile, we've got, I think, Mick has used quite a little bit more ERS than he was intending. Maybe he was using a bit of hot lap by accident, which can be frustrating. Deck does get past Bazza, so is Dan, but of course Bazza stayed out for a long period of time, hoping for the best as Scottish Goat. Through goes Scottish Goat. Honestly, I absolutely love that name. Absolutely love that name. So Scottish Goat is through into P7. Of course, the only driver in this lobby that is not PlayStation who is racing. But they're all console, so who are racing right now. So it does give them quite something to work up towards. Of course, who's going to be the fastest console driver? We're going to have to wait and see, eh? Lewis's prediction is not coming true, is it? With the win, but it's still possible if Darky's tyres start to go on fire. You never know. Anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. With Darky in P1, Wade in P2, and Deck in P3. Dan in 4th place, Bazza in 5th, Chris Johnson in 6th, Scottish Goat in 8th, in 7th. And we've got switcheroo, Bazza and Chris Johnson. And I think Bazza has been passed by Chris Johnson and Scottish Goat. If there was a safety car to come, he would have hoped it would have been round about now. You can see quite a heavy train on the straight through Villeneuve in towards Tosa. So you can, I think everyone's been held up by the Bowser train. But it makes for an interesting race. Honestly, the top two are running away with it. So as long as the top two don't make a mistake, then that's over. Deck doing a fantastic job, but he's going to have Dan the company soon. Yellow flag. Now that was Kai. Let's hope. Hold on, there he is. Let's hope he does not reset to track, because that will be an absolute disaster. That will honestly be an absolute disaster if that happens. As we can see, Scottish Goat past Chris Johnson up to 5th. What about Gamer James? There he is. Gamer James doing a stellar job, actually, passing Ryan Berry. And I, of course, have to keep an eye on the drivers of the day for each race as well. So there is some really close battles. And I think we could see Ryan Berry taking advantage of people's mistakes here. Ryan Berry up to 8, but surely he would have wanted higher. I think the only people who have got no penalties is Darky, Deck, Dan. Well, it wasn't Mick, but he's got one now. Chris Johnson, Ryan Berry, and Bazza. So they're going to get... Honestly, they're going to hope for a safety car. Which it is very unlikely that it's going to happen. So Kai comes in to the pit lane. And you can tell the tires are going to get a bit warm. I think those are memes to the end. Yes, it is. Scottish Go up into 4th place now. Shame about those penalties, because I think he would have finished in a very high position because of it. Dan having a good recovery as well. His pace around Imola is absolutely fantastic, but surely he would have wanted to have had a better race for him from his perspective. Darky pulling up a 6.3 second gap. It's not really going to matter too much because Waze has got like 6 or 9 seconds of penalties. Let's get the penalties up, shall we? Penalties. Oh, no one's got 9 seconds. Jack Craig and Kai has got 6. Everyone else has got 3. And then everyone else who hasn't got a black and white flag next to their name have got no penalties. They might be on their second warning though, which won't be ideal for any of them. So I would check on race director, but I am the only commentator, so I can't. Which can be a little bit frustrating at times. So the action seems to have quietened down now. Some people could be lifting and coasting, as we know Imola uses up a lot of fuel. And I mean a lot of fuel. The last few years I've learnt the hard way. Putting too much fuel. So you got to put the right fuel in, do quite a bit of calculations and stuff like that. So things could happen. We're about to start lap 22. No, lap 21, sorry. Of 20. Oh, rain! Rain! Wow! We have got rain in Imola! Oh, my DRS disabled! DRS disabled! Oh, my God! The track is... Oh, God! Waze is pitting, which I think he's done the right thing to do that. So Wade, I think, is gonna... Lewis Craig has probably called it absolutely spot on here. So, I might have seen people on mediums earlier on, but I wasn't paying attention. It's coming down big and fast here. And Darky is going to have... Darky, Chris Johnson, they're going to drop quite a bit. Deck, I think Deck's going to be second after all of that. How on earth did it come that fast? I was not expecting that. Interesting. Very interesting. I think a lot of people were caught off guard towards the end there as well. So, yeah, so Wade's going to win this race, folks. As Kai's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So, I'm sure he got another one before. People even struggling on the memes as well. Will Darky hold on? If I was Darky, just box. Please box, Darky. Whatever you do, please box. And he does. He's taken his bed. Now he's got to lie on it. Kai is doing the same, but unfortunately, he is going to be a lap down. The conditions looking very treacherous. And we'll see what Wade's could do. Yellow flag, that I believe was Kai. So we'll see if Wade's comes out in the lead. Surely it will be, I think, a close battle. And Wade's is in the lead. Massive undercut because, of course, Darky was on a lap on dry tyres where he shouldn't be. So as long as he keeps that gap a decent amount, he should win this race. Chris Johnson, he's staying out. Ryan Berry's staying out. Oh, no. That's going to end in tears, but if it makes it work, then fair play. I mean, the ones that have hardly got any penalties, they're going to be loving life right now, if you're like in the midfield, I have to say. So, on F125, when the rain comes down, it comes down really hard. So as soon as the rain falls, sometimes your cue is to pit. As Deck does get past Ryan Berry, and with the spray coming down, it's just something that Ryan Berry did not want to see. He's going to drop way down the field. However, this man got the strategy perfectly. He's not going to win on circuit because he's got an annoying 3-second penalty. But Waze braved the conditions at the right time. He pitted when he needed to. He wins on track, but it is Darky that comes across the line who takes the win. Deck does get past Chris Johnson. I would expect Scottish Goat to do exactly the same thing here in 6th spot. But we'll watch Deck come to the line. Well done to him. A podium and no disconnections. Chris Johnson, 4th. Will he stay 4th? Yes, he will stay 4th. Ryan Berry, 5th. Dan, 6th. Scottish Goat, 7th. Won't say much on the positions, just in case it changes for penalties. Yeah, she didn't account for penalties, Lewis. But he got the winner right on track at least. So, half a point? Half a point? So we are just waiting for Bazza and Mick to cross the line. What could have been for those two? They must have got into some sort of incident earlier on, or maybe just the pace wasn't good towards the end when it started to get wet. So now we've done Imola. Now we go to a track where it is a love-hate relationship. In a minute, we'll be going to Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. I'm excited. I remember when it was chucking it down when I raced in Monaco in TGP last season. I think I finished 4th, in that race, but I was happy with that. But the setup just didn't work. So we are going to celebrate our podium. So a big well done to Darky for yet another win this season. I am tempted to give driver of the day to Darky after honestly, a dominant pole, and he picked up no penalties. But I could give it to Scottish Goat for the amount of overtakes he made and being very brave, and he finished 7th. But you know what? I could give it to Chris Johnson and Ryan Berry for braving out on the mediums, but I'm going to give the drive of the day for Imola to Darky for a stellar performance. He would have lost the win without a penalty, but he showed he had the pace no matter what the conditions. So, it is Darky from Waste, from Deck, from Chris, Ryan Berry, Dan, Scottish Goat, Tony, Gamer James, Jake, your top 10. Then we've got Jack, Craig, Bazza, and Mick, and Kai. I believe everybody finished the race. So that is good news. That is very good news. The drivers will be taking a little bit of a break very soon, just so they can get used to a completely different circuit. Monaco Grand Prix. Now, honestly, if we do get rain, I do apologise. So, Monaco Grand Prix, dated back all the way to the 14th of April 1929. That was the first race, and that was organised by cigarette magnate Anthony Nose under the name Automobile Club de Monaco. So, I wonder if Anthony Nose Corner was named by then. It was won by William Grover Williams, driving a Bugatti, who pocketed a prize money of 100,000 francs. And then the race became incorporated to the Formula 1 World Championship back in 1950. So it's been on the calendar ever since its inception. So yes. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, most successful winners. Of course, there was quite a few incidents in Monaco. 2014, there were accidents involving Sergio Perez, Adrian Sutil, and Roman Grosjean. There was also the moment where, which I found quite funny actually, where Jenson Button peed in Fernando Alonso's seat when he was filling in for him due to Fernando Alonso winning the Indy 500. I found that quite funny, to be honest, but there we go. Things happen. Things happen for a reason. So, if I was to pick a track, well, corners around this circuit that I would find very, very difficult to master, I wouldn't name a corner. I would name a thing. I would call it the barriers. Because they come at you very quickly, and it could end a driver's race if you make a mistake. So the corners to watch out for are the exit Casino Square, turn 4, and the swimming pool section, turns 13 to 16. Now, the swimming pool section, absolutely love on F125. Absolutely satisfying to drive. So, should be intriguing, to say the least. I do believe we should be getting underway very soon. Of course, Jack will be putting the results together from the Monaco Grand Prix. And there was quite a few people. I'm just looking at the chat to for a bit of debrief on what happened in that race. I think a few people seemed to me they didn't like the wet towards the end, but there were quite a few people making a bit more mistakes. Darky, of course, is very happy with the race win. I would be. He's got more. I think he's got more wins this season than he done in TGP2 ever. Why did the mouse go? I do not know. Hang on a minute. There we go. Mouse is all good now, as in computer mouse. As we are about to get going for some more racing. So, settings. I've just been told by our... Hold on, get my mic up. I've just been told by our lovely lobby host, Bazza, that we are good to go. and with the drivers can ready up. So let's see then what the weather prevails. For my sake, as a commentator, please no rain. And I'm not going to say in the chat, because every time someone brings the rain word in the chat, there's rain. So I'm just, no, not going to say anything. And we're already saying our predictions in the drivers chat that Monaco's going to be chaos. It always is. It always is. Now, this is going to be interesting. One-shot qualifying around Monaco. I think we could see quite a few invalidations there. I think we won't see many people complete laps. That's my prediction. Now, for people who have done, like, career mode, especially co-op, you will recognise Monaco because, of course, that was the location when you signed a bit of contracts, which gives us an inkling on what's going to be happening in Season 6, where we've got team principals, which I'm very, very excited about. Should be interesting. And the 5 team principals, of course, are going to be drivers as well. And they will be keeping a close eye on this grid throughout the entirety of the rest of the season now. They'll be watching the streams back and be thinking, right, which drivers would I want in my team that's worth the least amount of money? But we'll see. And hint, hint, I'll be keeping a close eye as well. I'll be making a list of names. So if people want to be in... Well, guys, I think I should have shut up about the R word in a total. So if you're watching this back, do you think me not mentioning rain in the driver's chat was going to do much? Well, I mentioned rain on stream, and I thought that's not going to hurt anything. It is raining. Luckily, it's only light rain, so that's relief for anything. But, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Let's just hope it doesn't rain in the race. So it looks like, of course, it is nighttime as well, which looks absolutely beautiful around Monaco. So, here we go then, as we make our way towards turn number 1. Let's go on board with... actually, let's go on board with Det, because he never takes part in one-shot qualifying. Oh, where is he? There we go. So, through the Casino Square section, very delicate on the throttle in the wet conditions. It takes a while to correct your steering through there. In towards Mirabeau, and we could see quite a few traffic jams around there. And you got to get the turn in precisely right. I would aim for the curb as much as possible here, but I think I could see some people doing well. Now, this is a dry section, which will make the tyres heat quite a bit with those intermediate tyres. Through in towards to back now. Just about misses the wall, which is very, very impressive for Deck. We are seeing our usual suspects in P1 and P2, but we're seeing an interesting battle for P... Oh, Darky's invalidated! Darky, our winner from from Imola, has invalidated his run. So that means it's between Deck and Waze for pole position up to the line, and it is Waze by quite some margin that gets pole. Deck in second, Bazza in third. He will take that with a heartbeat here. He likes street circuits, and I know it because I've been in the party with him. So he likes street circuits with one-shot qualifying. So this is played to his strengths. And I'm worried I pressed the wrong button, but I didn't. So, what a relief. Hopefully you can still see the stream. Anyway, we've got Waze from Deck, from Bazza, Chris Johnson, Dan, Mick having a good qualifying as well. Good on him. We've got Jake, Ryan Berry, Tony, Kai, and Jack. Everybody else, which is James, Darky, and Scottish Goat, has invalidated their run. So, bring on the race. Now, it's a 20-lap race. I think people are going to be relieved. You're not going to see it in a minute. But at least for the start, it's going to be dry. And I think it's going to be looking dry for the whole race because I don't think it's going to rain down that easy. But knowing me, I said that for Imola. And look what happened. So, yeah, not going to say too much. Now, this is a track where this requires quite a bit of downforce, so I think we're going to see quite a lot of 50-50 wings here. And there is a situation where, like we saw in real life, track position can be very, very cool, very, very crucial. So we may see, I think, people trying to do what we saw like the racing bulls do this season, which was quite impressive. Some people didn't like it, but I liked it. It added to the strategy. And we have to say, with Monaco, high concentration is absolutely key. And we're going to get no safety car because it is a 25% race. And in real life, of course, Monaco is the only current race which doesn't run to the 305-kilometre distance, which every other Grand Prix must comply to. Interesting facts there. I'm going to save the rest of my facts until we get to the 5 red lights, because there could be a lot more happening and quite a bit more gaps forming. So, let us know your predictions. Were you expecting the drivers, the performers, well as you did? Anyway, we're about to go for the 5 red lights here in Monaco for Dive Bomb F1 Season 5. It is action, and Waze gets a decent start, and Bazza got caught off guard again from Deck, but Deck holds on to second, Bazza holds on to third, but we've got, I think, a bit of contact between Jordan, James and Scottish Goat, as Tony has lost a bit of ground as well. So I wonder if Tony has picked up some damage, but Waze running away with it right now. But oh, we got Kai out of the race. Kai is out of the race, so Kai must have binned it at some point, which could cause a pile up, but luckily it didn't because it's just James closing in. But we'll get your possible tyres. People think it could be a 2-stop. I doubt it. But we did see the top 3 on the soft compound of tyres, which is why they got away cleanly. Darky up the inside of Scottish Go. I do believe the times are set to win this. Lewis, do you mean Waze, not Wake? Or do you mean something else? We do have a pitter. Dan must have got damaged then. So Dan does come into the pit. Jay comes in as well. So quite a few people got picked up damage that one. So that's not ideal at all. So the top 3 remain as they are. But Mick doing, honestly, a stellar job on those mediums and could be a dark horse here in 5th. And honestly, it's proven my theory correctly that you need to have a good qualifying session here in order to do well, because honestly the top 5, most of the top 5 that started this race stayed where they are, which is impressive. So we've got 5 people in. If I were in, I would go on hards to the end, but there are some tracks in 25% where you can go to the mediums until the end, but it's gonna be hard just to get to the end, if that makes sense. As Bazza has got a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. That must have... Surely, hopefully that wasn't a massive corner cut, because if it was like a double warning, then it will get removed. But I can't tell if it can be removed or not. I wonder if Bazza picked himself up for damage there. So I will check in just a moment. Or is he going to serve his 10-second? He is going to serve his 10-second. And he's got damage. Tony is out of the race. So, oh, there's a pile-up. There's a pile-up somewhere. And, oh, he's binned it towards the end of the tunnel. So he's binned it towards the end of the tunnel. So Bazza is changed his front wing, but he's got lost quite a bit of time. Oh, okay, so it is, thank you, Jax. Much appreciated. It is a 2-stop. I forgot on this game that no matter what race length, apart from 5 laps, it is a 2-stop. So in a way, some people pitting now is probably taking advantage of it. Jack Craig's now out of the race. Where did he bin it? Let me go on board with Waze. So I think his car would have gone by now, but it's very hard to see. So yeah, apologies that I didn't notice the 2-stop rule. I should have paid attention, but that is my fault for not playing the game for 2 weeks. So there we go. So 1 stop made for the bottom half. So still 1 stop to go. But for the top 6, they still got 2 more stops. Hopefully, people will remember that the game enforces 2 stops. Because otherwise they're going to get a instant disqualification, which they do not want. Darky passed Mick. Mick doing a brilliant job to hold on just for so long. Now, I've got a comment in the chat from Jack that he said he got red rear wing damage on lap 1 after being hit from behind. Honestly, having red rear wing damage at any track is not good. But around Monaco, you just may as well give up now, which he did. So, luckily you don't get penalised in this league for retiring in the pits. So, it's a shame, but definitely the right thing to do because you do not want to cause chaos. I wonder if some people have also got front wing damage as well. So, we will have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, just don't get rear wing damage on this game, folks. It's just, I do not want to try it, and I don't want it to last either. Darky just setting the fastest lap of the race so far. He's chasing down Chris Johnson for P3. Chris Johnson having quite a bit of ERS to play with, and so is Darky. So they're even Stevens. More time penalties being added to quite a lot of people, which strongly suggests that the track is a lot harder than expected for these drivers. There was word in both chats that people were predicting chaos. I was predicting chaos, and also the added fact of the 2-stop. So Dan has done 1 stop just now, so he comes in onto a set of the hearts, or with it is 2-stop. Let me look. 2 stops for Dan. So that is it. He is done until the end of the race. So Dan has done his 2 stops. This could be interesting for Dan as well, because he is going to try and close in on the rest of the pack, but he's going to hope that other people have a bit of an off. So that was your stops order, and why did I get F2 on by accident? I am an idiot. Darky still looking quite close on Chris Johnson. The only opportunistic move to go for an overtake ideally is turn 1 and by the tunnel. Darky isn't going to do it here, but Darky has just more traction coming out of the corners. 6th gear into 4th gear, ideally staying in 4th gear as he enters. Oh, contact for Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson is now out of the race, and what a shame, because he had a very good race in Imola and he was looking like to score double points, but now things have come to blows for the McLaren team as both McLarens are now out of this race. Gamer James and Jordan have come into the pit lane to do their 2nd stop, whereas we're seeing the top 5 not stopping at all here. It's going to make things very interesting indeed when it comes to pit stops. Meanwhile, we got Bazzer, who is chasing down Scottish Goat for P7. Scottish Goat has done a very brilliant job this season so far, and surely with the more races he does, he will definitely improve. Waze and Deck to do their first stop. So they come in onto a set of the medium compounder tyres. So it's just the top 3 yet to do 1 stop. Of course, we'll keep an eye on the stops as it continues. And make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to this video if you're watching this post-event. But if you're watching it live, make sure you share the stream because it will be much appreciated. I can't remember what the next round is at the top of my head, but I will tell you at some point. Bazza catching up to Scottish Goat once more. But with it being so hard to overtake in, the defense, I would have to say, is more important than anything. And you can't afford to make so many mistakes around it. Jake's closing in ever so slightly on Deck on a set of the softs, but Deck, don't forget, has pitted. We do have Ryan Berry and Mick and Darky still to go. Stop! Hold on, my mic keeps moving, by the way. Stop the count, ladies and gentlemen. Mick is in P2, and Darky comes into the pit lane. Ladies and gentlemen, Mick is going to be leading a race. Yes, you heard it here, folks. Mick is going to lead the race. Yes, he hasn't stopped yet, but who cares? Just enjoy this moment. Let's just hope that he remembers the two-stop, please. If anyone's engineering the one to the top two, just remember the two-stop. Whatever you do. So, your net race leader is Waze. Deck comes... No, not Deck. What are you on about? Sorry, Jake. But Jake comes into the pit lane onto a set of hards until the end of the race. So he comes in. So that is another driver doing his second stop. So 1, 2, 3 drivers that have done 2 stops now. Certain people are about quite a bit behind than others. Of course, we won't know the true gaps until we get closer in. It should be interesting. Waze, I'm a bit worried for Waze because he's going to lose so much time just being stuck behind Ryan Berry. Waze has got to get past in towards T1 ASAP. And he's just pushing them along. Ryan Berry comes into the pit lane. And comes in for his first stop. So yeah, it is just Mick that still needs to come in. So there we go. And Scottish Goat gets a penalty. That is not the idealist scenario that you want to be in around Monaco. Why do people get a lot of penalties around Monaco? I just don't get it. As Bazza comes into the pit lane and goes for his final stop as well. So there he comes. So I'm guessing he'll be onto the hard compounder tyres as well, as Jake does get past Bazza in at the pit lane. So that is going to be interesting to say the least. Wade is now caught up 1 second. If I was Mick, come in. Mick, whatever you do, come in. Yes, you led a lap, but you still got to do 2 more stops, mate. You still got to do 2 more stops. I think he's forgotten. I think he thinks he can still do 1 stop. Mick comes in to the pits. So it is Waze then that comes out in the leader. But your net race leader is Dan, I believe. Or it might be Ryan Berry, one of the two. Right, who has done 2 stops? Let me have a look. Oh, come on. No, I don't want telemetry. 1 stops. Yeah, your net race leader is Dan at the moment. But is he going to catch up to Waze? Could do. But it's going to be a tall ask right now, as we've got almost half of this race still to go. And you can tell there's not much going on, really. Apart from, if you're Dan Wilner, trying to get past a driver that hasn't done his 2 stops yet. So, as there's a little bit of a luck tap from Dan, as he hit the ball a little bit there. But I think because in some corners you just don't want to be close to a driver around here, it's an absolute nightmare. I was doing open lobbies around Monaco the other day. Yes, it was a few years ago, but when you're just so close to another car around Monaco, it's just an absolute nightmare. I mean, let's just say it could cause quite a bit of chaos. As we could see, I think Dan knows he's got to try and get past now. He is got hardly any errors either, which means that for Scottish Go, he's got more of an advantage because that'd be I think he's got more ERS to play with than Dan, but Dan has got less, I believe. James has come in to the pits. So James comes in for his final stop, I believe. And that'll be him to the end. Mediums to the end. Can they make it? I doubt it, but you never know. It could prove me wrong. Yellow flag. That was one of the Ferraris. That was Jake. That's had a bit of an off. And he resets track, I think. Or I might be wrong. It might just be the game that reset him. But anyway, Jake's down to 10th. And he never likes Monaco anyway. So he was not expecting to have a good race this week around here. Meanwhile, the one who loves Monaco is Wade, because he's 5.2 seconds clear of Deck. Deck's right back in his championship now. It's just a shame that he disconnected in quite a lot of races. But it looks like, obviously, the internet is fixed, or having a new host potentially helps him a little bit. But I think Dan has made his chance of closing in a bit more difficult, because he wants to try and get a very clear undercut, but it's just not working out right now. So you're just going to have to wait a few more moments. So we'll draw our attention to Darky and Dak here. These two drivers, I think the top three, I have to say, are the quickest drivers in the league. And they got a point to prove. They really do. And they've been driving an impeccable job today. Darky, yes, Imola got the wrong strategy, but around here, he seems to have the right strategy. So Darky and Deck come in for another set of the mediums, which is to be expected. So they come in for a set of the mediums. Deck on softs. Oh, now that, honestly, that is very, very bold. And I like bold strategies. There we go. So bring it on. We have got a mixture of people on softs. We've got Mick on soft, but he's still yet to box. But we do have, obviously, softs last a bit longer and 25%. Well, a bit shorter actually, but softs are, let's just say softs are a more viable tyre. So the only battles that are happening on track is between these two and these two. And honestly, I don't know who to keep my close eye on here, because you're seeing Darky and Deck, one of the two fastest guys, going toe to toe. Darky's hardly burnt ERS, so he's fine. Deck has hardly got any. So I think it would be advantage Darky. Waze luckily remembers the two stops, so he comes in to the pit lane. As you can see, oh right. So what's happened to Darky there? So Darky has been passed by Ryan Berry. Could we see teamwork from the two Aston Martins here? Would that, honestly, would that work? I think they're going to try and give it their absolute best shot, you know. As Darky going to try and go for the move, as he almost had a little bit of an off there, is Darky. But I think he just about keeps it together. He is doing well to survive this race, but surely he wanted something higher. Ryan Berry, I believe, will still need to do one more stop. Yes, he does. So is Mick and Scottish Go. Everyone else has done at least 2 stops. So just in case you're jeffing anyone and you would like to know. As we're almost 6 laps to go. Past swimming pool section then. Darky, with Darky staying behind Deck, it means that the tyre wear is going to increase more and more and more because of the dirty air that is being plagued by Darky. So, Darky, I think... What would I do if I was Darky? Would I try and go for something very brave? He is going to try and go for something brave, but it's not going to work out here. Mick comes into the pit lane. So, luckily, Mick does remember. Hurrah. So, Mick does go out on Sauce. Where does he end up? I think he's just going to be maybe just behind Jordan. Yes. So there we go. So Balor's still going to finish quite well, but I think he's still got quite a bit of penalties, so he'll probably drop down. So, but you never know with Monaco. You never know with Monaco. You can see Darky right on the gearbox. Deck usually likes the pressure of leading a race, but I wonder what pressure he's feeling like for trying to hold on to second place and hoping that his connection stays stable. Here comes Darky up the inside. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. He's going to try and go for another lap of racing, but the sun is quite blinding to look at in his eyes. But surely he's going to go for the move here. He's going to think about it. Lunge to the left. Thinks better of it. Very smart to do. The race is not over at lap 16. It's over on the end of lap 20. And as I kept saying on Formula Student, it's not over till the fat lady sings. Jordan comes into the pit for his final stop. So the ones who have yet to do 2 stops are Scottish Goat and Ryan Berry. Everyone else has done 2 stops, so they will be fine getting to the end of this race. If we have Scottish Goat and Ryan Berry that do not do their 2 stops, they will be automatically disqualified. So, Darky. Oh, Darky's made a mistake. Darky's made a mistake on the exit near Anthony Node. Oh, no, that's not ideal. So he's lost a bit of time. I know Baz just picked up another penalty, so did Mick. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers now with time penalties. I don't know how Darky's still managing to keep up with Det now. Honestly, that was very good car control, but you can tell his mediums are starting to die here, as there was almost a bit of contact being made, but well held for Mick. Jake just about getting to hold on here. Even though what could have been for Jake, if he could keep up with this battle, Jake could still aim for P6 here. Wade has picked up a penalty. Now, Deck, if you're listening, I don't know if he is, listening to the stream whilst he's racing, but I don't know. If Deck could find about 7 seconds, he could win this race. There's a car traffic jam on the M25 here. No, but no, it's not. It's Monaco. But it looks like a car traffic jam on the M25, let's just say. Or if it was at Silverstone, A43. At the moment, if you live near Silverstone, avoid the A43 at rush hour. It, honestly, is an absolute nightmare. When I was going to Silverstone every day last week on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, it took an extra 30 minutes to get to the track. Performance student, which I was not happy about. Saturday and Sunday, 20 minutes. It took just 20 minutes compared to the 50, which, you know, I will take that in a heartbeat. Here comes, both Alpines have had enough. That's allowed the likes of Jake to go through and Bazza to go through. That puts the Ferraris back in this as well. I think Wade has picked up the pace here, knowing that he's got that penalty. So, well, I don't know what's happened there. Mick is beached, but luckily he's ghosted, so he's fine. as Mick is out of the race. He's retired on track. I don't think you're meant to retire on track. Darky has got a penalty. Ryan Berry, you need to pit, mate. Ryan Berry and Scottish Goat, if you're listening, you need to pit. Otherwise, you will get DQ'd. You all need to pit at the end of the penultimate lap. They will get a wake-up call. So, but anyway, Way still leads from Deck in second. Darky still catching up in third. Ryan Berry luckily remembers and comes in. I think the game has warned him, so thank God for that. But to be fair, because of the gap, he's still got to come out in fourth anyway due to the pile-up. So he will take that. So he hasn't lost out that much just by waiting to pit. So, still comes out in fourth. He's not going to get on the podium, but what is it to be right now? What is it to be? But anyway, no sign of rain, which is going to be an absolute relief. But Darky, oh, as soon as I went on board with Darky, he's got a 10-second penalty for cutting the corner. Well, that definitely will not get removed, Sunshine, because that was a massive corner cut. Did he get forced off? It was so hard to see as Darky let Deck through. So I wonder if he did cut the corner there as Darky comes in. Would it be a DNF? I hope not, because there's one more lap to go as Waze starts the final lap of this race. Hopefully Scottish Goat remembers to pit, otherwise the game will tell him disqualified. So Darky comes in. He's got the gap. He's going to try and go the fastest lap anyway. I think Ryan Berry will probably have to make a move on it if he does that. So Jordan and James are having a bit of a ding-dong battle as well. Now, that is interesting. Actually, no, it's Jordan and Scottish Goat, sorry, but Scottish Goat needs to pit. Scottish Goat needs to pit, and he doesn't. Scottish Goat is disqualified from this race. Will the game disqualify him? No. But Jack did say that it is a two-stop mandatory, and Scottish Goat did not do that. So, yeah, Scottish Goat is disqualified. That will bump Jordan and James. Jack, if you're watching in the chat, can you confirm this? It is Waze, though, that is dominant this race. He gets a 10-second penalty, but who cares? He's got the gap anyway. But Deck comes across the line, and Deck, oh yeah, Wade has got the 3-second. So yeah, Deck comes across the line to win. Then it is Wade in second. Don't know why he's retired. Please stay. So Wade will finish second. Remember that, guys. Remember that, guys. Will Darky get the fastest lap? I 100% doubt it. So yeah, Darky will finish third. Ryan Berry fourth. Dan will come across the line in fifth. He's got no penalties anyway, so I don't think anyone got lapped there. No, no one got lapped. So Dan will finish fifth. Bazza will finish, I think, seventh, because Bazza's got loads of penalties. So Jake will finish in sixth. Bazza seventh. Jordan. What a result from Jordan there to finish eighth. Now, that is impressive. Now, Lewis Craig is probably relieved that Wade's won there because he was worried that he would jinx it. But, yeah, he have jinxed it, mate. Because Deck won. With Wade second. So, Wade, you can probably blame Lewis for predicting you. He predicted you both races and he didn't win. So I'll run through your order then. Fair play to Darky, though, for still finishing in fourth place. So, and honestly, we'll go through the results in a minute. So we got Deck in first. Then it will be Waze, because he left and he should have stayed. But anyway, there's Deck, then Waze, then Ryan Berry, then Darky, then Dan, then Jake, then Bazza. Jordan in his first league race in ages, according to the chat, finishes in eighth. He will take that in a heartbeat. I will take that in a heartbeat for him. He did a great job. James with a good result in 9th. Scottish Goat gets DQ because he didn't do the 2-stop. So then it will be Mick in 10th. Then it'll be Chris Johnson, Jack, Tony, and Kai. Your only DSQ is Scottish Goat, as I just said. So there we go. Interesting race. There was a bit of chaotic moments. Bill, of course, was a bit quiet. Imagine if there was a safety car, but we know in Monaco, safety cars are just non-existent. It really is. So that's probably why they've done that. But that has been it then for Dive Bomb F1 Season 5, Round 7 and 8. It'll be interesting to see what it does with the championship, but more information will be revealed next week. We head to, or get the calendar up, on the 30th of July, we head to Spain and Canada. So, the Spanish Grand Prix, the track I've been sweating in the league. I can't wait until it's over, to be honest. And then Canada, which I won in TGP2 last season. So I know what it takes to win around here. Penalties is... Getting less penalties is absolutely key around there. So looking forward to seeing how this driver is. And fair play to Jordan. It's a one-off race for you. And yeah, you still did pretty well. But yeah, fair play. Come back to your retirement. Well, not really. But yeah, come and enjoy your retirement now. But we hope to see Jordan in more races soon. Because he did absolutely great today. But I've been Jess Ball. It's been a privilege to be back in at the commentary box for Season 5 in Dive Bomb F1. I'll be back next week for Spain and Canada. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.